Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and today we're going to talk about the controversial 30th anniversary Magic the Gathering release. If you don't mess with Magic, don't worry, I'm going to do a ton of Pokemon tie-in here. We're going to talk about what this would look like in Pokemon. Will it happen? Has it already happened? But in case you missed it, Magic did a big brain move and released 4 packs for $1,000 that include basically a lot of the art you see behind me, but on a different modern card layout with a crappy back to it. So it's basically a reprint, but not a reprint. Because a reprint would be, okay, we're going to print this art on a new set. Where this one, they printed the art on a new set. So clearly it's not a reprint. But what it does feel like at the end of the day is just a huge, greasy maneuver around the reserve list. So if you aren't in Magic, the reserve list was basically a promise from WotC to not reprint certain cards. So a lot of the powerful stuff from like ABU, Four Horsemen, moving all the way to modern sets, it was this promise to say, hey, we care about you guys. We value the community. We value our fan base, so we're not going to reprint these cards. We're going to do this like nice balance here to give you a healthy organic challenge, I guess was the idea back then. But today, because Hasbro, 72% I think of their profits are from Magic the Gathering, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, a little bit of a different pressure, a little bit of a different mentality. So that is why we have this beautiful post-2020 money grab of a release. So number one, who is this for? Because pretty much everybody is united against it. I think everybody who messes with Magic, even myself, I consider myself like a cross collector. I'm one of those weirdos who just loves the art and the history and just collects Magic. And I'm just like, who is this for? Who is the target audience? Because with $1,000, you can get some of these cards back here. Like you can get some of the first cards ever printed, you know, you can get some of the lower condition versions, or even getting into like Legends or Arabian Nights and all that really good, super mega vintage stuff. You can get most of it still for $1,000. I mean, that can get you a lot still to this day. So that's number one. Now, I think within that, you know, I watched Rudy's video and I saw some other content, and there was this counterintuitive point where people were like, okay, everybody hates them. No one's going to buy them, but they're somehow still going to sell out, right? So to explain that, the target audience, I think, for this is going to be that hashtag group. Just hashtag select all. Like, hashtag all. That's it. It's going to be the hashtag world that's buying this. It's going to be the speculators, the grind setters, the entrepreneurs, the flippers, the scalpers, whatever term we're using or whatever new term may come later on. That's who this is going towards. I think a good analogy for Pokemon is the Top Sun Charizard. I love the Top Sun Charizard because in 2020, all the sports collectors came in and they saw the 1995 label and they're like, rookie card, Charizard, best card, money. Like as if for 2 decades, the experts in Pokemon, the people who've been doing this forever, just completely overlooked that the Top Sun Charizard is like this holy grail item. And sure enough, that's why it rocketed to $500,000 and it came right back down to like $30,000 because that group right there was not in Pokemon. They don't represent the, you know, pulse, if you will, of Pokemon. Just like in this case, the speculators, the flippers, or the entrepreneurs or whatever, those people are not the core here of Magic. And I think the Top Sun analogy is just right on the nose because it was just a ton of these know-it-all sports guys who came in with their super linear one-track mind of rookie card. I'll throw $500,000, literally $500,000 on a Top Sun Charizard. It's unbelievable. So that was real life because, again, you have this group that now, you know, is just stepping in when they think there's money to be made. And I think that's who this is going to run into. Now, my new smpratte term in this video for what this feels like and what a lot of these post-2020 releases feel like is a corporate collectible. This just feels like some type of corporate release from people who, again, aren't in it. They don't feel it. They don't understand the smell of the card. Like, they don't appreciate this stuff. It's just some corporate collectible. They're like, yeah, these are the artworks that people like, right? Like, this is the stuff. We're going to just reprint it, but not a reprint. It's not a reprint. You know, reprints are when you take art and put it on a card. This is taking art and putting it on a card. So it's not a reprint. So that's what this feels like, is some very gimmicky corporate release, which this flavor, this new post-2020 flavor, we felt it over and over again with the Kickstarters, the startups, the new amazing TCG. Again, like there's this like wormhole that we didn't see as collectors. I just care so much about the community that doesn't exist for this new startup TCG. I just care so much about the space that you're in. It's all about those dollar signs. That's what it's about. It's about the dollar signs. So the hashtag is the first step to the dollar sign. And that's what this is. It's that process of, using those function keys there of just, this is who it's for. It's a corporate collectible for money. It's $4 signs. It's dollar signs for the hashtag community. That's what this is. So if you're going to do something like this, I just wish they would make it actually like organically desirable. And what I mean by that are, if you want a 1 of 100 item, make it 1 of 100 quality. The thing I cannot stand about modern sports is wholesale, cannot stand it, is like the low effort refractors where it's like, oh, we just gave you this card, it's orange, it's blue, it's red. Oh, the red one has 1 of 50, the blue, like, are we really that simple? Like, to me, it's like devolving. And maybe it's coming or speaking out of privilege from Pokemon because we have such a wide array of like beautiful rarity options to choose from that have not only a nice unique design, but like usually a nice unique release that ties into the design. It's like the perfect combination. So taking that little bit of wisdom, throwing it into Magic, hand-drawn cards, make it happen. These artists have much more free reign than Pokemon. Let these artists sit down and design something. Like, I'm talking an actual sketch card. If I could have a chance to pull a sketch card, 1 of 100, that's a lot more appealing to me than some reprint, but not a reprint of, this old art back here. And also, side tangent, also just feels off. Like, when I look at this old artwork, like this, the Mox Ruby back here, the background, that to me feels so 90s. The design, the color choices, just feels like quintessential 90s. And seeing that, on this reprint, but not a reprint, layout, it just doesn't mesh as well. And I don't see the combination there of quality that is apparently, $1,000 premium or is worth $1,000 tag. So at the end of the day, this feels like a corporate collectible. And I wish they would do something that would really bridge that gap of, if you're going to do a 1 of 100, make it something of quality. And, to really dig deeper in this corporate collectible idea, WotC, last time I looked it up before sitting down this video, correct me if I'm wrong, WotC is responsible for majority of Hasbro's profit. I think it was like 70% or 72%, something like that. So naturally, that pressure is going to make a decision that is more, again, for the dollar sign hashtag community rather than, what it used to be in the 90s was a very small startup organic thing where they're trying to get off the ground and, it was very pure. I think that's the best way to say it. So the reserve list came from this innocent, organic group of people who said, hey, we just want these cards not be reprinted to the ground. It came from an organic, more pure, wholesome place where this, a lot of pressure. When your company that's publicly traded, majority of their profit comes from this IP, yeah, you're probably going to have to do something with that to make more money. So, that's really what I think is going on here, where Pokemon isn't as reliant on this stuff because, again, they're not as pressed to get their new Charizard UPC out. That's more for the secondhand market. Like, Pokemon couldn't care less. They can just make a new game. The numbers they see from that are just like light years higher. That's the TCG is the sperm of the sperm whale for Pokemon. Like, they have so much more profit from all their other, like, everything else that they do. They have so many more tentacles than Magic does. So they're not as reliant on that. And that's why I think this feels like such a corporate collectible, because Hasbro needs to produce from their biggest producer. Now, will it happen in Pokemon? Here's my edgy response to that. It already has. It's already happened with evolutions. It's already happened with celebrations, but it's happened the right way. That's what a reprint should look like. Overall, the thesis is Pokemon is just much more thoughtful. And I'm not trying to do a pissing contest here because these are all my cards. I collect both of these. I have appreciation for a lot of collectibles. So it's not like my Pokemon dad can beat your Magic dad. But at the end of the day, Pokemon is just objectively much more thoughtful in how they reprint things. So the base set Charizard that was reprinted in Evolutions, they scaled its HP, they scaled its attack. They did elements that gave you a little nod to the, the old days, but, they did a nice blend there so it's a reprint. Especially when you look at some of the other cards like Coughing, I think his type changed, or, a lot of them had scaled HPs except for Chansey, because Chansey was so OP that you couldn't increase it because it was still just as powerful. So at the end of the day, that's how you do a reprint. And if you go outside the set stuff, you go to Rocket 20th Anniversary, stamp promos, Mario Pikachu, Scream Pikachu, just go down the never-ending list. These are all very, very thoughtful designs. You can tell they took their time to do it. Scream Pikachu is just an absolute thing of beauty. I mean, it's just, I get goosebumps talking about it because it's so good. It's such an unbelievable release where this is some lazy corporate reprint, but not a reprint. where Pokemon has just an absolute never-ending cavalcade of like one banger after another after another. I'm talking like we can stay within 1 year. We got stamp promos. You go back every year, you have a S tier release from Pokemon all the way back to the beginning. Because again, it's much more thoughtful because they don't have this pressure of having to pump out and get all this product out there to keep their bottom line up or whatever. And I think another little smpratism here is that thoughtful releases equal thoughtful buyers. You know, corporate releases equal corporate buyers. You know, rather than listening to this long-winded video, that's really the TLDR here, is that if you create a thoughtful thing, it'll probably get thoughtful reception. And in this case, you create this corporate gimmicky product, it's probably going to get that type of reception. You're probably going to get a lot of the people who want to come in, they see an opportunity to make money, maybe some of them will. It's going to get a lot of that speculation that is absolutely rife right now, and it's not going anywhere. You know, the speculation, the internet's, whatever you would call it, scalper, flipper, or whatever term we're using, it's like a way of life for a lot of people. Anything but a job. The anything but a jobbers. You know, I think they're here to stay, and that's who this is going for. You know, it's not going for me. It's not going for someone who played the game growing up. A lot of the people who I think are in Pokemon are very serious, because I think there is a barrier to entry for Magic. Not for Pokemon, for Magic. I think there's a barrier to entry that requires you to really care, you know, to really want to get into it, because it's the most serious TCG hands down. I don't think that'll ever change. So it's tough to do these like corporate gimmicky things with a group that really cares about the IP and really does it this way and has for, you know, like 30 years now. So I just don't know who this is for outside of those hashtaggers. And the final thing here is just to reiterate that I think Pokemon is just much better at creating collectibles. And this is even just about, you know, comparing to Magic. Like, compare it to sports. Sports to me is just like, that's why those guys from sports bought the tops on Charizard, because their mind has been conditioned to be so linear. Refractor, RPA, you know, these very contrived corporate releases. The first rookie, the first card, the whatever, the one of one, that's that mentality. That's what's cultivated over there in that market. Where in Pokemon, what's cultivated, I think the culture is more about art appreciation. I think it's more about nostalgia. I think it's more about lore. I think it's more about experience. And you see that reflected in a lot of the cards, whether it's Not Awake, Masaki, Koro, Fan Club, Pal City, Worlds promos. Like, you can go throughout the entire history and probably find hundreds of examples of just beautiful promo releases that reflect the nice, rare balance that, you know, Pokemon offers at the end of the day as a collectible. So if you're going to do this Magic, do like an actual sketch, you know, artist card versus reprinted but not reprinted artwork. So that's my take on the 30th anniversary. I think it's definitely a poor choice. It only stokes that post-2020 flame of money. This just feels like a way to make fast money. It's so transparent or so obvious. You know, if you want to say, yeah, evolutions is to make money, there's profit there, there's strategy. Sure, there is. But you can't discount the thought that went into it. You know, that's the difference here. I'm not downplaying, you know, making money in open market. You know, I think that's fine. But when you need to have the balance, we need the balance instead of the Armageddon. We got more of the Armageddon right now. We need more of the balance. That's what we need. And yeah, it's just, that's my take on it. We already see how it works in Pokemon, and I think they've already created a standard that I think is much healthier. And I wish Magic would borrow from some of that and, you know, do something that maybe the artist option is the example. I don't know, but Pokemon has plenty of examples to pull from. Hopefully they do that for future release, but I heavily doubt it. So there is my take on the 30th anniversary. Let me know what you guys think about it. It's definitely a juicy one, a hot one. But there it is. As usual, you know the deal. Let me know how you feel. Till next time.